I carried my box, ready to go home. We went to a restaurant. I remember my friend called me and she was like, "What are you crying?" I just cried. I just cried. This was God answering my prayers. Like I was in the graduation list. How? How? So like studying from in other units that entails the course. So I used to have so much of those, and the reality is not good. Of course, we used to hear gunshots. I think currently it's better off in Kenya in northeastern, like Garissa. The attacks are my dad, and I told him nowadays we don't. I have performed well. I tried, but there are units that I need to redo. So fast forward, I used to work hard for myself. I used to wash clothes for people just to make. Hello, beloved. This story is raw and true. I share to encourage and inspire before my expiry. Please. Okay, after finishing my KCSE exams, that is Form 4, I was so much excited. The last paper was history, so I wrote the paper. It was very difficult, but I just had hopes. Fast forward, my favorite subjects were English and Kiswahili and theory. And the papers were not tough, they were not easy, so I was so much expectant, especially the theory paper and the English one. So I love languages and those subjects I used to top. So I was so much excited, and that is it. The only thing that gave me stress was the chemistry paper and the mathematics paper. Oh my goodness. I'm not a good one of that. So I was just surrendering everything to God. So I was a beautiful young girl, just winding up my CS, and my parents were ready. They were ready to pick me home. I could see my dad and my mom arrive at school, and I carried my box, ready to go home. We went to a restaurant. We had food. My mama loved chicken and pilau, so that is what we ate that very day, and then we drove home. So after that, the results came. I performed more than I thought I could. I could do it because, you get it, I was an average student. I was not sharp. I don't want to fake. I was not sharp. I was not there. That is it. What I know more much about myself is that my talents are so high. So I'm still waiting on that, and I know I will make it. So the story begins like this. After my Form 4 results came, my dad told me I should go and study education. My dream was never to become a teacher, so I declined. The next option was maybe I could be found another course. So the journey began. So I am always a very sharp child. Like my IQ is very high. My mother used to tell me that some things I can talk about, and I don't know how I came into that, but that is just me. That is my being. I tap into my nature. That is me. So what I did was this. I was watching much of the TV and listening to radio so much because my aim was to become a journalist. I knew that was me. So I used to see so many advertisements of colleges to you can join some campuses, anything. I thought of Mount Kenya, and I was like, oh no. So I applied some colleges, and I used to get those letters for me to get admitted. But so my dad used to go to school that time. He was working, and then he would be phoned that he needs to come and pick a letter. When he goes, it is my application letter. Fast forward, I applied for journalism. That fateful evening, I could see the faces of my parents. I had not known that the letter had come. So I used to submit my details as in my name, the PO box number. Of course, I used to use my father. So sometimes the faces I could see when we were having dinner were not promising. So my dad could come with those letters, and then he dropped them at the table, and he keeps quiet. He's always a silent man. So I'm like, eh? I just see the letter, I keep quiet. My mother could not talk. Reason being, I want a course that they don't want me to do. So I applied for journalism admission for like in 3 campuses. My parents declined. So I switched to another course, IT. I started applying again to other colleges. I got admissions. My parents could frown again. I am not allowed to do that. So, I was a child. So I am doing things, and one day my brother comes and tells me that you want to do journalism, that course is not marketable. So many people are doing that course nowadays. The market is so competitive, and I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. So I was told I either got to do the course that I have cooking dinner with my mom, and she was like, "We are planning for you. You need to go to school, and then there is a course that your dad has decided that you are going to do." And I asked my mother which course, and she tells me there is a course that your dad is going to tell you. So after dinner, I'm being called that I need to go somewhere. I was to go in September the very year in Garissa, and we were traveling with one of my classmates back then, but we split. Our parents were working in the same school, so they were all teachers. My mom was working with his dad, so they had talked. He was going to take accounting, and I was told I was going to take procurement. And then at this fateful time that I was going with them, it was this guy that we were going to with. He was studying at that university, and him, my friend, he was going to join because of CPA. For my course, we were supposed to come in for January intake because of the quorum. People were not doing that course so much, so we were to be like around 20, and then we were just four of us. I was the only girl, so I was told I was to join the following year in January. So this September, I am traveling with these guys from home to Nairobi, from Nairobi to Garissa. That is like we are traveling for 24 hours. It was a very, very tough journey. I could see my skin changing. I could see me getting sick because I'm always affected by climate. Any moment I travel. So we went, but at the back of my mind, what I know is that I am a journalism girl. I wanted to do journalism. So we went for the benchmarking, and there was this family friend. She was a principal at Garissa High School. So we went, I stayed with her at her home. The stay was beautiful, but guys, the climate was wanting, and the reaction I could see, my whole body had, yani nilikuwa na vidonda, and the climate was taking a toll on me. So we benchmarked in everything. One thing that my instinct used to tell me is security is not good. Of course, we used to hear gunshots. I think currently it's better off in Kenya, in northeastern, like Garissa. The attacks are nowadays, we don't hear them, but when you get to that place, like for them, they're used to hearing gunshots. For them, they're used to getting to their house before 6 p.m. For them, things are very expensive. People have got money. For them, they're used to the climate. For them, they're used to the Muslim being in high number as compared to the Christians. For them, going to church is close to zero option. And the climate, the environment was one thing. And I told my dad before I got out of there, I told him, I'm not coming to school here. If you know me, you know that I'm adamant. If I don't want something, I don't want, period. So, that time I had no identity card. So, I was traveling with a waiting card. So, fast forward, when you go into Garissa, you'll reach a point whereby you're being escorted by police because that place is not safe. For around 6 hours, you'll be traveling under police security and control. So, reaching at almost the border, you need to get out your identity card. So, I used to use that waiting, and sometimes it was quite expensive because I could bribe them because I'm still young. So, coming back again was a problem until when I was being written a letter with this man I did there. So I came back to Nairobi. I went to my auntie's place, and she was staying at the slums. I'm sorry, guy. I went there again. They told me that I should benchmark again to see that place if I can stay there just in case I'll be going to Garissa. And my friends, I said no. I was adamant. So, and then we collided with my aunt 1, 2, 3 because I grew up in a very tight environment. Like, mingling with people was not a thing for my mom, and she helped us. Like, so going to another environment was a big problem for me. So fast forward, it is in the slums. Like, getting water is a problem. Like, going to the toilet, you need to pay. Everything you need to pay. So I reached a point, I told my mom, I want to come back home. I want to come back home. So it was the time back home. My parents were not happy with me. I could see visitors coming home and everybody was being told this girl has refused to study. So nobody could understand what I really wanted. So, and for me, when I don't want something, I don't want. So my parents told me the day when I will accept to go back to Garissa and study, because that university was offering a scholarship. And I told them it is okay, but I'm not going back to Garissa. Some of my aunties and uncles were against it, but my parents could. I don't know what was working. So I told my dad I'm not going to go back. Fast forward, it comes January, I did not go back to school. On secondary, I found this boyfriend. So this boyfriend, we started talking. He was living in Nairobi. He was working by then. He was a good guy, by the way. But things did not work with us. So I guess he was not the one. So we planned, and I was thinking, if they don't get me to school, I'm going to go stay with him. So the devil was coming to come inside my life. And guess what? That very month of February, I was planning to escape from home. It's April, May. So in February, the terrorists attacked Garissa University. And if you're in Kenya, you know the outcome. People really died. The students died. And I remember there was this day my parents went to farm and came back and they were not speaking. I asked them, why are you not speaking? That is the university that you wanted me to go. See how people have died. I could have been among them. I could be dead maybe, because just close to 10% people survived. From that day, my parents could not talk. After 1 month, my mother told me, where can you go else to study? And I told her, I'm only going anywhere else but not Garissa. And my parents felt it. They were like, you are right. We are sorry. So when I give this story, I'm talking about a young girl who was not supposed to do a certain course that she wanted just because the parents wanted her to do something else. I'm not saying that my parents are bad. I'm not saying that my family is bad. My family is good. I was raised in a good family. But in this thing of decision making, I was not allowed. So I got myself into procurement. And procurement was the favorite course ever. I could wonder if someone told me that they studied procurement. And so this is my journey of studying procurement. Have a seat. 21st of March, I was very late. The semester was almost ending, and the first class I joined was financial accounting. So I was not good in maths that much, but I was told I need to do procurement. Supply chain management. On our class, we were almost 25 students, and we graduated the six of us. We only graduated six of us, and then my journey began. My journey begins, and I'm sharing this story because it is a story of triumph. It is a story of triumph because I studied in three different campuses, and I managed to secure my. It is not easy. When I look back, I see God. I'm sharing this story to encourage someone out there who is facing challenges. I felt like the devil was after my education just from the start. So I went to school, and when I joined the first class, I could hear the lecturer say, for the people who are joining today, can they really get it? Because we are almost a quarter of the book. And so I was not good in maths. I used to borrow notes and then I copy. The first semester went, the second one went, and we were supposed to register for our exams. Of course, we were doing the exam body, the school exam body, and then the national exam body. So for the school exam body, I managed to score well, but when it comes to the national one, I failed the first year. I failed because I guess there are some 3 units that I failed. One, I was into bad company. Two, I joined the school late. Three, I had not accepted that I am doing procurement and not mass communication and journalism. So that took a toll on me, even if to accept. Interestingly, I was being called the last born in the whole campus. I remember my HOD asking me, "How old are you?" I was very young. I could not have even an identity card. Something that used to, especially in my first year registering for an exam, was really tough. I remember NEC would write letters to the head of department so that I can submit my identity card. I had not acquired it yet. So as time went by, I made it the second year and I was the happiest lady ever. Long story short, the first college that I went, as I was almost winding up my first year, there was a scandal that came. I don't want to mention that college because I may tamper with their reputation. Let me call it College A. A scandal came up that they are offering dome certificates. So I am always a fast thinker. So some people move to another college just to go on with their studies. Remember, I've got three refers. There was financial accounting, economics, and I don't know, the other one I've forgotten. So I took my results at home. I explained to my dad and I told them I have performed well. I tried, but there are units that I need to redo. So fast forward, I used to work hard for myself. I used to wash clothes for people just to make money for these refer papers. Actually, I told my parents I only failed 2 papers. For the one paper, I worked hard to pay for it. I had a boyfriend who could support me. By the way, that guy bought me a nice calculator and was helping me because he also did procurement. And that is the only purpose that God made him meet me, I guess. And things did not work. So after that, I went to another college. Remember, I'm moving to another college without telling my parents, so it's not under their consent. The fee that I was being sent to pay, I was a trusted lady, so I was sent money. I went to the other college, I enrolled, and I started reading for this my second year. Mark you, I've got another refer paper. So the refer papers, I registered them to the new college. Let me call it College B. It was a very trying moment. I now told my parents. So when we closed school and I went home, my dad was, "I heard that your college is due, so we need to change you again." I was like, "Dad, with the neck papers, I've only registered the ones that I refer, and procurement is not an easy course. I don't think I'm going to change the exam body. I don't need. So he was like, "You need to go to another college. Let me call it College C that he praised so much." And I told him I'm not going to go there. I enrolled to another college, and the fee structure is this one. The fee structure of this College B was more 4,000 of my previous college. It was not easy to convince my parents to allow me read on these other college. So I really struggled, and God did it. After 2 months, they accepted to pay me, and again, I started studying. Fast forward from my refer, I came to do them. I passed with flying colors, thank God. And so, another thing that I have forgotten to tell you guys is that in my second year, that is when I encountered God. And so, in my first year, I was working with bad groups. I was a drunkard. I was this girl who was studying in Eldoret, but every weekend I was in Nairobi. I don't know how I could manage to do that. I had money. There was this spirit inside of me that could convince people to give me money. I don't know how I managed, but where I am today, I can just say God. So in my second year, I met God through a very supernatural encounter. That is the story of another day. So after I received God, my life started changing. In school, I started performing well. Like, I could perform more than my ability in my first year, like when I was in the world. Remember, my mother used to pray for me so much. She wanted me to be a woman of God. She wanted me to chase my purpose. She wanted me to be the kind of woman that she knows I could become. May she rest in peace. So, in this college B, I did my refers. I did well, and then another blunder came in. The management of this second college now collapsed. Now, another day we come to school, the college is closed. Oh my goodness. I was so much shattered. I was like, now which college am I going to go next? My dad would be like, "So I told you to go to this college to start afresh, you refuse to see your life." It was a very difficult time, I remember. And I used to pray. By that time, I was a Sunday school teacher. I was barely 1 year. I was still young in salvation, but this ministry has made me pray a lot. That is why I love the children ministry, because it is a ministry that has held me back to God when those days I thought that I could never do it. So I pray to God. I could cry. I could tell God, "Now, how am I going to get my NAP exams result?" And so there was this one of the managers of the institution and some of the board of members decided to open another college, and I told myself I'm not going to the new one. Let me just go to the other college and enroll for my third year studies. So some of the people went to the new one, some it was just chaotic. At the back of my mind, I was thinking then, how am I going to finish my studies? Will I be able to graduate? Will I be able to get my final results, or how will it happen? And again, if this neck body send me results, it will be at which school, because at which college, for example, which institution will have me as their student. So much went in my head. So for my third year, I enrolled to College D. And in College D, now the school fees was a bit lower by 2,000 as compared to College B. So we started enrolling for the classes, and I went back to class again as normal. Now, again, this time round, this final year, there is no school fees. It was a tough moment. So, by God's will, he helped me, he helped us. And the second college, they called us one day for a meeting, like College B. They told us our results for the exams are here. And then for those who registered for the second years, they referred somewhere where we were going to sit for the exams. And by good luck, I passed so well for my second year exams, and also for the refers, I passed. So I was just having stress for school fees in my third year, and just debating at the end of the year the results of mine. So after that, I continued to go to schools on off on off. I had this friend of mine. He was also doing procurement, and he was doing accounting. So he used to help me a lot. Alan, I don't know where he is currently, but I just pray that God blesses him, because he helped me so much when it comes to cost accounting and quantitative techniques. Those two units were a hell on me, and he offered to train me on Saturdays at around 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Those days we used to study so much in Langas. For those people who stay in Eldoret, oh my goodness, so much memories are made in those days, and this guy really helped me. So the final semester came, and I was staying at home for the final semester until up to the end. And my lecturer was asking me, what is happening? I told him I don't have school fees. So he offered to give me handouts like for project management, in other units that entails the course. So I used to have so much of those, and then Alan could help me on the accounting side and everything. So I registered for the exams. The money came, and my final like the final times, I could not really study, but I was having people who could understand me. Mr. Mbale, God bless you for holding me up. It was just chaotic, but guys, praying to God is very, very important. Finally I went to the exams. I did them, and my final year was the best. Actually, I performed really well until when the results came. My lecturer called me, and she was like, Jacinta, is it you? I was like, what happened? He told me you've passed really well. I remember at that time I was working in Ubuya County Hospital as an attaché, and I was being called by the school. I was shocked what had happened. I had really passed well, and I remember that time I had so much roles I was playing in ministry, and I think serving God is not of no avail. So guys, just to sum up, now the stress comes in. Where am I going to graduate from? Are my final results going to come, or anything? Or so this stress are between just me, because I cannot go and tell my parents. Fast forward, my dad told me, you can just do the way you want to do, as long as you just tell me you're going to graduate. And my mom was like, why didn't you just hear your dad's advice? So I've gone into 3 campuses. My result slip sounds east, west, north, south. So I don't know the final results where there will be the conclusion from. So I was an attaché, and by God's grace, the church that I was going into really held me up. May God bless those people for me. You guys have been so good to me. So the last day I told them I'll be relocating and going to do my post-attachment internship to Abuya Hospital. These people did me a mini Harambe, and they financed my my attachment. Like, they financed me in a way, like for lunch I could not have issues, but that time I was really fighting hormonal imbalance and stomach ulcers. It was so much intense. I remember the first host was a relative that I could stay with them, but the environment was not good. My health was deteriorating and I opted to go and stay with my grandmother. My grandma is very sick. I just pray that God heals her. And that woman has been of a blessing to me. When I stayed with her, I could take my medication, my health was okay, and I was not having problems. So at that moment, I was looking forward to winding up in a good way. So my stress, like I've said, is the final result. So I opted up like every day as I go to work, I'll be praying for 30 minutes. I used to foot, or else my cousin could carry me in his bicycle. So 30 minutes in the morning praying, 1 hour praying, because at the evening I used to foot from the hospital to my grandma's place. It was around 1.5 hours footing. So I used to pray like for 1 hour. And so our God is so faithful and powerful. I used to pray and I used to surrender my all to God. Like I used to tell God, God, I really wish to graduate. As we had finished having our lunch time, for some of us who are attaches at the hospital, I received a call. And this call was for a new number. The new number. So I received the call and she was a woman. This lady told me, hello, are you Jacinta? I told her it is me. And she told me, do you know that you are supposed to graduate? I told her, I have no idea. And then she told me, you need to come to school, take your results, pay for your gown, pay for your graduation fee, and prepare yourself to avail at the graduation day. Guys, I literally cried. I cried. And I remember my friend called me and she was like, what are you crying? I just cried. I just cried. This was God answering my prayers. Like I was in the graduation list. How? 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 So like studying from different colleges and then winding up at this place and then how things just added up without me into the picture. Isn't God just amazing? Because this is something that I battled with for a long time, and I had inquired on people to tell me if it is possible for me to graduate, if it is possible for me to get the final results, or else I'll have to go and see the NEC offices in Nairobi. So I was like, some were telling me you have to go there, some were telling me maybe they'll have to figure out and call you the final place that they can drop your final results. Maybe you'll have another option, or maybe you'll have to pay extra charges just for you to be. I was going through a lot, and the power of prayer. That time I was so much into prayer until the first day there was a day that my pastor, my mentor, he invited me back in Albury to church, and I was ministering and he was like, you've really grown. You are not the person I have known. And this is just the power of prayer. Like when you pray, there is a way that God introduces you to people, not like any other person, but in a new dimension. When you pray, your spiritual life is not the same. When you pray, those things that has been shut down by the devil, the God opens them up. When you pray, there is a kind of favor that you receive. When you pray, I don't know how to finish it. Long story short, I graduated. I graduated with being a well-trained procurement officer. As I'm shooting this video, I have never been blessed to be a procurement officer yet, but I love that cause. Need be it. Do I really need to be a journalist again? Yes, that was my first passion. I still really hope that one day I'll be a celebrated journalist. Further back, as I used to go to school, as a young girl, I managed to go to good schools, like private schools. And every day I could go to school, I could see in the evening Casadena reading news. And I told myself, one day I want to be a Casadena. One day I want people to see me in the TV. I want to read news. So this is a dream that I wanted to be. Even though people could not have supported it or they could have seen the other side of me, I still appreciate. I appreciate being a procurement officer. Being a procurement officer has helped me start my own business. I never could have imagined that I could run a business. There is a lot that I have learned. There is a lot of knowledge that I have applied running a business as a procurement officer. It is not an easy thing. Not unless you've been trained in this sector. Sometimes business is not easy, but I bless the Lord for it. Suppose I could have done education. I guess I could have been the best teacher. But then fate took its Why? And now I did procurement. And now I'm a Sunday school teacher. And now I am a content creator. And now I'm here seated telling my story. So I'm here to tell anybody hearing from me now, watching this story, that your dreams are valid. Sometimes the paths can divide you another way, but just take it. Accept to go to the unknown. Sometimes people may not get really into your passion, but God has the best for you. Just take in the lessons and avoid the vice of God. This is the other side of a modest. My beautiful name is Jacinta. If you're new here, please consider subscribing, give me thumbs up, and give me a sweet comment. Do you really want to see a sit down story again? Please let me know. And for the people who have been telling me that I need to do a story time, I guess this one has been tea for you. Until then, be the last, spread the love. Jesus Christ loves you unconditionally. I want to encourage you to find your purpose and chase it like nobody's business. Tomorrow is not promised, and so serve people, bless you.